There is an expansion of the healing intelligence in the body. This is due to creating more resonant space for healing in the causal body. The causal body is outside of time and space. Therefore, more resonance is a matter of thickening or enriching with detail than making it bigger. These subtle adjustments increase volume, flavor, and density of the space. They increase the value of the healing process and your heart. There is an infinite amount of darkness and light in creation. Even though I advocate for facing fears and other discordant expressions of oneself, dwelling upon the darkness does not serve the purpose of healing. One aims to achieve a balance between seeing the darkness clearly enough to return it home to being, but not so much as to be caught in it. Clearing habits of dwelling on the darkness as a ploy to avoid the action that eliminates it. Clearing pain bodies and attachments to the experience of suffering in the emotional and mental bodies. Clearing expectations that suffering brings outside resources into your court. Clearing attachments to the flow of attention drawn in by suffering. This is not the type of attention that one really wants for the long haul anyway. Under this, clearing guilt from throat and neck particularly, for being an inconvenience, for being in the way, for forcing the hands of others. Clearing a whole host of other discordant feelings along with this back to early childhood. Under this, dissolving conditioning around being a terrible person for creating dramas, trouble for others, and inconvenience, etc., even when your suffering was innocent. Focusing directly on healing the sense of self now. When a person is suffering, rarely do they see the connection between past action and the suffering. Suffering is rarely anticipated. It tends to come unannounced, uncalled for, and unappreciated. However, healing involves making the connection between the suffering and the part of oneself that called the suffering into existence. A download is being received. This defines the path and provides the resources to evolve past the patterns that created that particular suffering. A purer understanding of the truth of oneself is establishing. The way out of suffering is led by blossoming into your highest, truest self. This knowledge liberates one from the initial suffering and the seed that brought that suffering into existence in the first place. From this, one can infer that lack of true self-understanding is the foundation of suffering and illness. There is a feeling when the sense of self is evolving. This feeling is being received as a download. It includes the liberation of purification. Although the experience of purification is an acquired taste, it is also a huge relief. Both resolution and redemption are contained within it. In order for the sense of self to evolve, one understands the darkness or suffering in relation to totality or wholeness. This perspective provides context for formulating a strategy for evolutionary transformation of that darkness. The darkness is the self that has lost its way back to wholeness. The process is consistently uniform. The darkness integrates divine nature into its very fabric. This is deeply purifying. When purification process shows up at the surface of life, it frequently shows up as illness. Whether the purification shows up as illness or not is dependent upon several factors, one of which is how much resistance there is to the purification. Attachment to ephemeral pleasures is usually the culprit behind resistance to letting go of that which does not serve evolution. The universal drive toward evolution is so integrated into the fabric of reality that it trumps everything, including attachments to comfort. Ironically, the drive toward evolution results in increased quality of life on all levels, including increased comfort. However, this happens in such a way that the comforts are permanent rather than short-lived. For example, a deeply fulfilling long-term love as opposed to a crush. Purification drives one to retract from dynamic outward activity and take rest. Purification comes like a wave, activating a download of understanding regarding how to recognize the coming of purification well before it arrives at your door. Recognizing the indications from the universe allows you to prepare. Intend to address the time of purification with more regular routine, consistent rest, lighter diet, because digestion takes extra energy. Be prepared for awareness to take an inward direction. The purpose of purification is to prepare the ground for the coming of divine grace. This process stretches the range of experience across the spectrum of the field of consciousness. Inward and outward reside together as the one truth that puts all forms in their optimal position for evolution and healing. Health is represented by a state of balance. Awareness balances between constructive and destructive laws of nature in order for life to both sustain and thrive. Wholeness keeps the interactions between destructive and constructive energies always moving life forward. The interactions result in a balance that favors the growth of eternal bliss. For us as humans, this is a process. It oscillates back and forth between the direct experience of purification and the integration of totality with the nervous system itself. Physical adaptation defines the process of evolution and healing. Perceptual changes can be expected. Usually these are very delicate but real. The physical body becomes vulnerable when the healing process is taking place. This vulnerability allows the body to undergo transformation. It is the opposite of attachment. The richer, more complete healing space supports the body so that you can show up to life in a normal fashion, even when great, powerful internal transformation is taking place. However, you are likely to find that the physical changes increase clear communication with the body. You will naturally be attracted to behaviors, foods, and objects of focus that uplift and support health. The establishment of improved choices is a process that takes a little patience, but pays off really well in the long run. May you enjoy this process. May it serve your highest good. May the raising of your life fulfill you in ways that you never expected. Thank you for being with me.